Hello everybody and welcome to week 6. We're working on our short story theme essay this week, and I wanted to share a little PowerPoint with you and explain the assignment a little bit. Congratulations, you've read 5 weeks worth of stories, a number of different authors, number of different characters, number of different settings. I hope some of them resonated with you. I hope you were surprised by some of them. I hope you enjoyed some of them. I know I always do when I get to read them. So this week, you're going to be working on your first major assignment for the semester. There's 3 of them. This isn't the first. And it's a short story theme essay. It is an essay that's meant to have you focus your efforts on identifying a theme, making a claim about a story and its theme, and really essentially getting to what the author wants to express about that theme. I've read a number of these essays over the years, and the one thing that students sometimes stumble over is getting to that specific idea about the theme in the story. So for example, if I was going to write about The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, which is the story about Jimmy Cross and his platoon of soldiers in Vietnam, certainly that's a story about war, and it's a story that examines the effects of war on a soldier. I think Tim O'Brien is looking at that theme, creating a story about that theme, and in particular, I think he's challenging us to take a look at what war can do to memory. And there's a number of passages in there that deal with Jimmy Cross's memories about Martha, in particular one where he sends a soldier into the tunnels. He imagines them collapsing, and then he spirals out into a memory of Martha. And I think what we see there is some of the ways soldiers rely on memories to get through their experiences, but also create new memories through their experiences. Now that's what I think Tim O'Brien's trying to do in that story. It's a story about war, the effects of war on soldiers, and in particular about memory. Now that's what I want you to do, is think about a story, think about a theme idea, and then really hone in on what you think the author's trying to say about that theme idea. Now let me run through this PowerPoint real quick. What you're going to need for this is one story. You can choose any of the stories that we read. One major theme idea, and that's that big thing about life that the story is about. Lots of details connected to the theme idea, and those details can be setting, and how setting is used, character, plot, symbols. Those can all be fuel and support for your thesis argument. If I was going to do the Tim O'Brien essay, I might talk about that passage when they're in the tunnels. I might talk about his memories of Martha. I might even talk about Jimmy Cross being a dynamic character and how he has to destroy his memories of Martha so he can be a better leader. Finally, I'm going to express what that story's message is about the theme. And again, that's the place where it can be a little challenging. Optional, if you want to do this, I always think this is a fun conclusion strategy for this essay. Compare your story to another story that we've read that has a similar theme, and how that story argues something different about that theme. That's optional, it's not a requirement, but if you're looking for a conclusion strategy beyond summary, try that. It might be something fun to do for your conclusion, and everybody knows that writing an essay is fun. You're going to come up with a thesis statement for this. Now this is due on Wednesday. And the thesis statement is the sentence, or a couple sentences at the most, where you do a couple things. You identify the topic of the essay, and you identify your claim. You want to be specific about what you're arguing here. So in the story, The Things They Carried, by Tim O'Brien, the author tries to express the theme of war and the effects of war on soldiers. In particular, he looks at what this experience does to memory. Now, I'm going to give you a couple thesis examples. This is one that is, I think, labeled technically bad. Everyday use is a story about family. Okay, now it gives us a story, gives us a theme, but it doesn't tell us the author. The story isn't underlined or italicized. Remember to do that. It's a small little minor tweak, but it's important. And it's not really specific enough. We don't know what literary elements the author uses. Do we see this in character? Do we see this in plot? Do we see this in setting? Do we see this in symbols? We need to be a little bit more specific. Now we're getting there. Everyday Use by Alice Walker is a story that discusses the theme of family. In particular, the author wants to examine the different forces a family creates in an individual's life. Now we're getting somewhere. We got the story, we got the author. The story's in quotes. We have a theme idea, and it's a pretty specific theme idea. I actually like this thesis statement. Hint, I wrote it, but I still like it. What it doesn't do, though, which would really knock it out of the park, is to identify the literary elements that the author uses to create this theme. So here we come, you can guess, to the best thesis statement. In the story Everyday Use by Alice Walker examines the powerful forces a family creates in a person's life. This story uses family heirlooms, history, and names as symbols of this powerful force. It is how the characters deal with these family commodities that reveals the story's theme. We've got the story, we've got the author, we've got the theme idea, and we even have the literary elements that Alice Walker uses in terms of symbols and characters. So this is a great theme. Thesis. It also previews the argument. I know now that I'm going to be reading about family heirlooms, about history, about names, and I'm also going to be dealing with plot and how families deal with those commodities. If I was going to write this essay, I would put those supporting paragraphs in that same order. I'd talk about family heirlooms first, then I'd talk about history second, and I'd talk about names third. Alright, so hopefully that helps with the essay assignment. The only difference, there's a couple differences this week, not just an only one, a couple differences. One, you're working on a major assignment that's due on Sunday. But two, you have your discussion work due on Wednesday this week, rather than Sunday. I want to see your thesis statement by Wednesday. That way I can give you some feedback on Thursday or Friday. And hopefully that'll help you develop the essay. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me over email. And I hope you're doing well. After this week, we will be through the halfway point of the semester. So congratulations on that as well. Take care, everybody.